deviated ball sack.
Yep. Vaginalitis.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Super Investor Meeting, September the 16th, the third Wednesday of September. I'm joined by two guests. I would just say the main event themselves, Eddie Gant, Richard Drake. Welcome everybody.
Welcome back from Mexico. Tell us a little bit about your trip.
Well, here's what I'll tell you about Mexico.
Whoa. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
46.
I was late.
Yeah,
and
you were
I'm
real
sorry
late.
about that.
You were real late.
But I did get around to it. I'm sorry. Happy birthday.
Eddie got around to it because
Happy
I
birthday.
said, hey, look, I can't really answer your text right now because it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Make people feel bad on your birthday. That's the way I say it. So Mexico was great. Here's what I've learned about traveling abroad. They give you a sheet of paper for everyone besides me, because this is really like my first full year of having a passport. So they give you that piece of paper when you get off the plane, and they ask you to fill it out, and you're saying that, you're claiming you're not bringing in any drugs or illegal women or whatever. And so I fill that out. I hand it to the lady in the customs, and then they tell you to keep this little bitty piece of paper with you. That's your immigration back into the United States document. If you don't have that, there is a special place for you, and it is called hell in the airport. And I did not make my connecting flight because I did not keep that. I left that at my hotel. The Cancun airport knows me very well.
You're not a smart man.
I was going to say 2 words. Dumb ass.
Guilty.
So you got to put it in your wallet right next to the freaking parking ticket for your parking spot. So
yeah, I leave my parking spot in my truck, and I had all the receipts for everything, and I just left it there. I was like, hey, I'm not going to go through it. Anyway, it was a fiasco getting back. It took 7 hours, which should have been like a 3-hour flight. Nice. It was a lot of fun in the Cancun
Have
airport.
your boyfriend with you?
I did.
Like,
he was so
good.
wonderful.
Good. That's good. He's very supportive of you.
He was
I'm
the
glad
big
to hear
spoon.
I'm glad to hear.
Yes, he was very tender and nurturing.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
What's the latest in the real estate market in Texas? Specifically,
Eddie, talk about actives. You sent me that text the other day, and I couldn't believe how low it was.
We dropped down below 20,000. And
20,
it's not only below 20, we're getting ready to drop down below 19.
That's
19.
That's a
we're
shame.
19,100.
That's a shame.
A few minutes ago. And
my realtors are printing
I have
money.
to tell you, it gets just more surprising and more surprising to me that that's going on, because, you guys heard me say COVID Monday was March 9th. Houston Rodeo was canceled on the 10th, college sports on the 11th and 12th. And I would have thought things would have glided up on inventory levels, but they've done just the opposite. We're 6,000 houses less today on the market in the Houston area than we were on March 9th.
Yes.
It's incredible.
6,000
6,000 less.
So, and no, we're not talking about from 100 to 94,000. We're talking from 25,000 to 19, guys. We're talking 20% less.
Last month when we had this meeting, we were right around the 20,000 mark, but I'm pretty sure we were still slightly. I think we're 20,400, and we're getting ready to dip under 19 now. It's crazy.
But what does that tell us? That tells us that we're in a seller's market, what you call seller's market. But also what's going to happen is you're going to see significantly higher appreciation, because it just has to.
New records on median, new records on average prices from right now. We don't have September data. We have August data, and they both jumped by a huge amount. We were right at double-digit increase on median and average prices, from August of 2020 versus August of 2019. Now, there's this big debate out there amongst investors that, wait a minute. We would rather be in a bad market. Well, there's a certain amount of validity to that argument, a certain amount, because you can certainly get better deals when you got a lot more houses on the market. There's no need to debate that.
Depending on your strategy, though.
That's right. But what you need to understand is, and I've been there in 2008, 09, 10, 11. You were too.
We were all here.
the majority of the people that we mingle with today, not all, but the majority were not in the market in '08. They were in high school, they were in college, they were in corporate America.
What we call young whippersnappers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not everybody's as old as you. So what I remember very distinctly about that time frame was, yeah, it was easy to buy them, but it did you no good if you couldn't sell them. But then you got hung out holding these houses, this big inventory, and we saw a whole bunch of people, a bunch of good people, go out of business and go broke in '08, '09, and '10 because they couldn't bankroll it because they couldn't sell their properties. In today's market, you don't see investors going bankrupt. You see investors maybe struggling to buy a lot of houses, and I can debate that to a certain extent, but you don't see them going bankrupt because if you buy a dead gum house, you can sell it. Well, and you can sell it.
You were around, and you and I were friends at the time, and you and I did some business together. And I didn't file bankruptcy, but there were days where I considered it, and I lost more money from 2007, 8, 9 than most people make in their whole life.
Mm-hmm. And I can remember
it was bad.
With you and I being part of Homevestors Nationwide, it wiped every franchisee out in the following markets. I can name them: Orlando, Atlanta, Vegas. We were not in California at the time. What's that?
Arizona
was rough.
These guys were making so much money in Arizona, then the '08 happened, and they all went bankrupt. They all went broke.
Here's the crazy thing in Arizona: they would buy houses and pay almost retail, and by the time they had it rehabbed, they'd make 20% on them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you remember what happened in Arizona was
prior to '08.
Arizona went into a drought, and then you had to pay for the amount of water usage. They got a water tax, and most people were not ready for that.
Yeah,
well, they weren't ready for their houses to be worth half as much as they were yesterday.
Well, and that too.
Well, and let me debate this part about in today's market, it's hard to find houses, and it's not true. It's debatable, and it's a valid. I give them credit; it's a valid argument.
Well, do you really think they're saying that it's hard to find houses, or it's hard to find houses affordable?
Well, let's talk.
That's the whole.
I'm going to address that. I only had 2 mentors in this business. Really, I mean, I may have had more than that.
Thanks,
but I had
Eddie.
2.
Thanks.
Well, you are one of them. You didn't know I was going to say it. It's Ken D'Angelo and you.
No, Eddie. Eddie, stop! You're making me blush.
Getting all misty over there.
Quit. Oh wait, you did. My name's Curtis, not Ken.
Curtis D'Angelo.
Sorry. Yeah, Curtis D'Angelo.
Ken D'Angelo and Rich Straight. Big Ken fan.
Was my 2 mentors. Ken D'Angelo taught me a long time ago, and I believe it to be true. For those watching don't know, he was the founder of Homevestors out of Dallas. He's dearly departed now. He's a wonderful man. He was a man of integrity. He died of a pancreatic cancer. He was in my office in September. I forget the year, or maybe '06. In September, good health, and he was dead in January. That's how quick it got.
Didn't take long at all.
Yeah. So anyway, Ken taught me a long time ago. He says, regardless of market you're in, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, and he didn't use the word underground, but that's the word I'll use. The investor market is underground, and it's going to be 3 to 6% of your total market. And those are the houses that are distressed for whatever reason, condition, economic situation, personal situation, employment situation. There's lots of reasons people sell a house at a high discount. He said and again, he didn't call it underground. It's an underground market, and it's always 3 to 6% of your total market. Now that 3 to 6% may have expanded a little in my mind, but it's darn close. Meaning there was 10,000 houses sold in August in Houston on HAR. First time ever it's hit 5 figures. Did you know that?
No.
Did not. Over 10,000 houses sold in August. It's the first time in the history of HAR.com that's ever happened. It's never been 10,000.
I would say that it's probably the first time in history, period.
Oh, it is.
HAR or not.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. So 3 to 6% would mean 300 to 600 houses sold off market in a distressed situation. If you think about 300 to 600, it's a reasonable number.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable number. Homevestors is going to buy about 100. Some of the other big guys or these big national organizations are going to buy 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And then you got a small select group of individuals that's going to buy high numbers. And then it tails off quick. I would say 600 might be a little low, but it ain't real low. You know, I'd see it stretching to 800, maybe distressed properties in a month like that, maybe 1,000, but probably closer to 800. The point being, and we're in a big seller's market right now, you still got 500 to 800 houses selling off market in a distressed condition for whatever reason.
Sure.
And if you buy them, you're not going to go broke because you can sell the dead-come place. Simple as that. It's not complicated, even though we try to complicate it sometimes.
So what about the people who are out there going, yeah, I'm not worried about their question's not that I cannot find properties. I can't find properties that are affordable, that fit within my hard money
buying
model.
parameters.
Hold on. Affordable to do what?
Hard
affordable
money.
to flip, affordable to hold as a rental,
Well,
affordable to live in.
So let's take
That's only the three choices.
Okay, so here I'm gonna Ken DeYoung or whatever the hell that
D'Angelo.
guy's name, whatever. So this guy says that you're calling it underground. Wall Street calls it the shadow inventory, the shadow market.
Yeah.
So I would say that the same is to be true. 3 to 6% of the investors today that come, 1,000 people come to the Redneck Country Club. 3 to 6% of those are people who buy cash or they have their own financing, IRAs, whatever. Okay. The other 90% of the people that come there are using borrowed money at a equivalent of 70 to 75% of ARV minus.
And I praise the Lord for them. I'm glad they use borrowed money.
Yeah. So with that being said,
Jet lending.
Knowing that 90% of our people out here are in that model, whether to buy and hold in refi or to buy and hold and to flip. What is your advice to them? And they're saying in this market, I am seeing price acceleration from the buyer or from the sellers, and I'm seeing less available to sell.
Well, I think it goes down to one simple thing. And you and I were talking this a long time. If you're going to buy houses at heavy discounts, off market or whatever, you got to get in the living room of the seller.
Okay.
You can't in this kind of market, you're not going to find big quantities of houses to flip on MLS, and you're not going to find big quantities of houses from other wholesalers. And the reason is wholesalers learned about 8 years ago that landlords will pay you more than another flipper will.
Yeah. So that was exactly the way I was going with that is you're right. People say it's hard to buy houses, right? But even if the market was not great, it would still be hard to buy houses because the wholesaler that's an expert at getting in the living room and getting these contracts is selling for 85 cents to the landlords already, good or bad market. And so if you want the 70, 65, 70, 75 deals, you got to be the buyer.
That's
and
right.
you've got to advertise, you've got to get leads, you got to sort through the leads, you got to build a buying machine to get those deals consistent. Now, can you find one in MLS? Absolutely.
Who would you be
Not every day.
advertising to today if you were one of our people that are on here and they're looking for deals?
Owner occupant sellers that have a
and why is
situation. That's where you get your deals.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, who we got coming up in a couple of minutes?
Mr. Texas Real Estate, Jason Bible.
Really? We got a
Jason.
guest. All right. Well, we're ready for him. We can break it anytime. Are we ready to break now for Jason or
We're going to have to listen to Jason talk?
Well,
Oh, no.
Well.
Goodness.
all right. But you got to get and Rich is right. You may occasionally get a deal on MLS. You may occasionally get a deal from a wholesaler. And I'm knocking on wholesaler. They learned 6 or 8 years ago a landlord's going to pay more, and I don't blame them.
But I think we're missing out on what I'm trying to tee the ball up for you. Right now, we have a problem in Texas, in Houston, on evictions. There is a huge backlog of it. And so a lot of these people who are owner occupant.
Our director over here saying time out for us, I think. Okay. All right. My bad.
To Jason.
Sweet. A lot of these people who are owner occupant, as you're saying, I think most of those people probably don't know how to go through the process, or are probably stuck with somebody who's squatting now. And I think that that's probably where there's a lot of potential inventory.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
What's
yay.
up? What's up, JB?
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
Well, we're just sitting here having an argument.
Well, I heard a little bit of it.
What's up, young man? How you been?
Good. Just buying a ton of stuff. You know, the Texas Real Estate Center's almost done. We probably got another week or so, if that. So that building's finally done. I'm like this close on a large apartment complex. So that'll be our first real big one. We're getting owner financing with it, which is going to be kind of cool.
Cool.
And yeah, kind of the regular old stuff, you know, little duplexes here, little quadplexes, you know, that sort of thing. Kind of the same stuff we've been doing over the last year. We're at 266 doors. So growing as fast as we can.
Okay.
And big thanks to Eddie borrowing a bunch of their money. So I appreciate that. I heard there was a little money talk. We seem to find plenty of deals that Jet can fund. So I don't know what everybody's problem is.
We appreciate you. I saw that deal you put on Facebook today, all those checks. That was pretty cool.
Well, you know what's funny is so you know, I run up to y'all's office about once a month. I guess because we don't trust the mail. Or maybe Rob wants me out of the office. I don't know what the deal is. So he hands me those pile of checks. I'm like, good God. I was like, I got to take a picture of this, put it on Facebook. So and that's usually you've got a pile about that thick, and then Quest has another pile. It's about equally as thick. So yeah. I didn't put the Quest ones up there because you got to redact all the trustee stuff. So
imagine that. Jason Bauer put something on Facebook.
Yeah.
I guess I just got to get onto Facebook and check it out.
You've never been on Facebook?
No, well,
yeah.
Some of us are privy to Jason's material, and some of us are not.
I don't live on it. I look at it in the morning and the evenings. That's about it. It's too distracting. All these girls putting them sexy videos of themselves dancing in their living room in their bikinis, just damn distracting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm friends with them. Apparently, you're not.
Oh, shoot.
I like
it.
That must have been in the suggested friends list.
I don't know, man. They said they're real estate investors, so I accepted their friend request.
You don't want to be rude.
I didn't want to be a snob, you know.
They're from the Ukraine, but you know what difference is it?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
All right.
So you guys were talking about finding deals and the marketplace and all that, and it jogged my memory. I remember doing a class probably 3 years ago where we looked at the last market cycle, and there was essentially two tiers to it, where it started appreciating about 5-6%, and there was another ramp that was like 10%. And that occurred over like a 10-year period, 12-year period. And I saw the HAR report this month, and one of the most fascinating things in that report is the median home price for existing homes is up almost 11% year over year. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon.
JB, that's what it was in August of 2020 versus August of 2019. It was double digits for both median and average. And did you hear what I said earlier? HAR.com reported in August of 2020, last month, over 10,000 houses sold, single family houses. It's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's
over 10,000.
It's insane. I said this about a year ago, we're running out of houses to sell. Like that's really happening. We're running out of houses to sell in this market.
19,000. Hadn't been that low since 2016.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So you've got, at least the last time I looked at the numbers, I can pull them up here on the computer, but the delta between inventory and pending is like 45%. So in other words, inventory is down 25 or 30, and then sales are up 25 or 30. It's like a 50% delta. Mm-hmm. So you're going to continue to see rapid increases in prices for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, there's no other way to put it other than it's a shock. Assuming or looking at what we've been in since March 9th, which I have coined Monday, March 9th as COVID Monday. That's when it all started. That's when it all started. And
Trademarked.
it's trademark. I should trademark that COVID Monday. But anyway, I'm glad to hear things are going well. What's a man got to do to get a office space over there? I've been trying to get a lease signed for 2 weeks over there, 2 months over there. Can't get anybody to call me back or get anything going over there.
I thought they had sent you one. I'll send what's his name another deal.
I'm yanking your chain, bro.
I was gonna say, right. You're ready to go, Eddie.
All right. I think Jet Lending is are we in the process of leasing an office over there? Okay.
They're just getting it custom painted with some stripes.
Yeah.
Haters will say you don't like stripes.
I think you guys are on the first floor across from the conference room, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
The ladies' room.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Take care of us over there. Alex will be over there. What else, JB, before we cut you off?
I mean, that's it, guys. I mean, I will tell you this. Real estate's not going to get any cheaper. If you're going to buy, you got to start buying now. And I keep pouring over the data, and I keep telling people, you tell me where the next real estate crash is coming and show me the data. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I found a really great chart the other day that showed that like 80% of people who've gotten loans in the last 10 years have had a credit score above 700. I mean, so the likelihood that, somebody that doesn't know any, scrape by with a 620 credit score got a house is pretty rare. It's not like 2008 all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So.
This is making the affordable housing market even tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, 2.75% interest rates on 30-year mortgages for owner occupants don't hurt.
No.
That's if I had to single out one reason for what we're seeing, for me, my opinion is it's interest rates.
Supposedly rates are going to go down on Monday.
And the interesting thing is what the Fed's doing. Jason, you're probably more up on this than I am, but
I hear you.
They're allowing the inflation to be higher than normal. Then that's going to artificially keep rates low forever.
Yeah, in fact, I saw one analyst. So for those of you who are not following, you and I are probably the only nerds actually watching the Fed stuff. But
you have 30 seconds to finish up.
The Federal Reserve came out and said that their target inflation is 2%, and according to how they track inflation, it's way too low. So they're going to have to keep rates currently at this number or lower for the next 42 years, them to hit their 2% target for inflation. So I don't see rates coming up anytime soon. I mean, we'll see when the next Fed chair comes in.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Doctor says they're going to stay low.
Yeah,
I agree with him on that.
Thank you for being on, Jason.
I'm sure it'll make Doctor relieved that you agree with him.
He watched the show. he's tuning into the updates. So all right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, bro.
See ya.
All right. Do we have a question?
Yes, we do. From Chris. What markets are y'all seeing migration to Texas come from most?
I'm assuming he's talking about what other states.
I'm assuming that he's saying people moving here from Texas. Yeah. Where do you think that they're coming from?
Yeah. What other states? I think. Well, I think it's the ones that traditionally that we always see. It's California and the Northeast. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't track
that, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that's where it is.
Well, I've seen several reports from CNN, MSNBC, that they're saying that there's a massive migration. Like U-Haul said that they're having low inventory in California, and they're seeing that all of it going to Dallas and Houston areas.
Austin.
Yeah. That there's like an influx of U-Hauls.
You're going to have to pay somebody to haul them back over there and fill them up again.
I like his question. I do. I don't know that it matters just as long as they come here. Now, I'm going to reflect back on the question here just a little bit, change up a little bit of what the economists are predicting. And I harp on this like I do my stats for HAR.com, and that is population. We're at 29 million and change today. The economists all say, and statisticians say, in 10 years, one decade away, we're going to be at 40 mil. That's a hell of a jump.
That
And
is.
there's only two ways
They
they
gotta
get here.
live somewhere.
There's only two ways they get here. They come from other places or birth rate. There's only two ways they get
Right.
here.
And you look at
That's
new
it.
home builders,
Yeah.
they can't keep
Did
up.
you-
Yeah.
They
you
can't
have
build
the
houses
question?
fast.
Did
So-
you see the question?
So anyway, all right, read it.
Roger says, as a borrower, what should we be looking for in a lender? That's a great question.
What was
questions
the
should
last?
we
What was
ask?
the last part of that?
What questions should we ask?
What questions
Ooh,
should we
so
ask?
good.
How
What are
do
your
I-
hidden
how
closing
do I-
costs?
How do I get to Jet Linden's office to apply? Is the question you should be asking, I guess. I don't know. No, but you got to break that down into owner occupied or non-owner occupied. Meaning owner occupied, you're going to live there. You're an investor. You got to break the question down. You know?
Yeah, and
I
think this
so-
is an investor
yeah.
focused
Yeah,
group.
yeah. Let's
yeah,
just give them an
yeah.
investor
Because
focus.
a Fannie Mae lender is a Fannie Mae lender is a Fannie Mae lender.
and then you break it down. Are you going to hold it or are you going to flip it quick for profit? And those are two different answers.
Oh, so
You know?
that's a great. That's
you
great.
got to break it down.
As someone who's borrowing from someone who owns a borrowing company,
Mhm.
okay, let
Along
me.
with Johnny over there.
Okay,
Don't leave my
well,
buddy Johnny out over there.
All right, well,
He
Johnny
don't like
over
the spotlight.
Johnny
He'll be
wasn't
over
on
pouting.
camera right now.
He'll be over pouting.
Okay,
if
I
don't
hear you.
mention him.
All right, so
Don't
I
put your
think
lip
that
out.
this question is easier for me to answer because
Yeah,
I am a
yeah,
borrower.
yeah.
One is, what is your interest rate,
Yeah.
and how long is that interest rate good for?
Okay.
What are my closing
All right.
costs that I'll be
Let's-
required
let's
to come?
do this.
Okay.
Let me address short-term investor, Lynn. You address long-term. Okay. Split it up. Short-term, I don't ever want to downplay rate. But the fact is, in November of this year, in 2 months from now, we're going to close loan number 3,000.
Ooh,
Okay.
good question.
It's
coming
going to
up, too.
happen in November.
Keena has a good question.
And so we've closed 3,000 loans. Ain't a one of them come to Jet Lending for the rate. Not a one of them. None. They come to Jet Lending because speed, dependability,
service.
treat you right, not jack you around.
They'll tell
Help
you.
you analyze your
They'll
deal.
give you a quick no so you can move
You know?
on with your life.
I mean, they don't come here because we got Fannie Mae rates. They don't do it. But they wrote that contract at 50% of value. And to get the contract at 50% of value, they had to promise that seller they close in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is.
So basically, what
You know?
Eddie is saying for the person who
Yeah,
gave us
yeah.
the question, what is one question to ask? Eddie's bringing up
Mhm.
some very valid
Mhm,
reason.
mhm.
Eddie is saying asking somebody what their rate is not as qualified as saying, because Eddie's answer
gonna-
is
Rate don't
Eddie's
mean-
answer is it's not the rate
yeah.
that I get paid by,
if-
it's the value
if-
to the rate that I
If
get
Jet's
paid
money
by.
don't show up at that title company in 12 days, rate don't mean crap.
So it's the value to the rate. That's what you're
You know?
bringing to the
Yeah,
table.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, and he clarified it's for
Yeah,
flips.
yeah,
He clarified for
for
flips
flips,
is his question.
it's 20%. That's a different whole
Yes,
different
that's a
question right
different
there.
different question.
Different question right there. But investor, I mean, you really break it down. It's a simple business. You're either gonna flip it or you're gonna hold it. There's no other thing to do with it other than live in it.
So
You know. So hold on. You're in the rental business. If you don't mind,
oh, sure.
expand into, and we're pretty good at this too because we do long term. But the long term rental business is a big part of this play.
Sure. So when you're looking at a lender, in that respect, you look a little differently.
Mhm.
Rate's a big deal now.
Mhm.
If it takes 15 days or 45 days to close, you don't care that much, right? If the service is not the greatest, but you can get a better rate,
Mhm.
you're going to have a rate. You talk about rate doesn't really matter as much in a hard money loan because service is important, but also it's a 6-month loan.
Mhm.
So it's
That's right.
16% or 13% doesn't
That's right.
make that much money
That's
dollar
right.
wise.
That's right.
But-
it ain't a huge number.
But 4 7/8 and 3 7/8 makes a huge difference over 20,
Mhm.
30 years.
Mhm.
So then today, what your question would be is, how long is my rate good for? Like when
Sure.
when is my loan coming due?
Is this going to be a 30-year fix, or is it going to be a 20-year with a 10-year
5-year.
reprice or a
Yeah.
5-year reprice?
That's right.
So like I have lenders like a small credit union in Austin. Well, they'll do a specific rate for say a 20-year AM with a 5-year reprice, 10-year reprice. It's
Mhm.
just a little bit more,
Mhm.
but you're guaranteed that for 10
Yeah,
years. So
yeah.
your point of how long is it good for is very important when you're
Yeah.
talking about a long
Well,
term.
also, if as Eddie being a hard money lender, I would want to know today, are you going through the permitting process for this flip? If you are, you're having to factor in an additional 2 months at the city instead of it being a one-stop, which is you're going in there, you're filling out your form. Now they're requiring you to submit. It's an online submittal process. It's taking
Hurry up and wait.
2 to 3 months. Yes, they just closed. Jet just closed a deal for us. We're 2 months into the submittal process, finally getting it kicked back to us at the city. So because of that,
touch the home.
No, haven't even been able to touch it yet. So it's important to know that they have an option. And this is what Eddie said. Eddie brought up an amazing point. We were at the Quest Expo, and we went to a baseball game.
Don't kiss him.
I'm not. This is a great point. We were sitting in the stands, and Eddie was talking about what another lender had said at the expo. And they said, when what happens when you come to the end of the term? And this guy was like, oh, well, we call the note. And Eddie said, as a lender, I will never, ever, ever call a note on something that someone's consistently paying. And I thought that was a great point.
17 years, we've never called a note that matured if they were still making their payments on time. Never have.
So when you're asking that, when you're asking these questions on lenders, I think that
Johnny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Johnny said
I would never do
absolutely
that either. I've loaned a lot of money in my life.
I mean, it's just no need to do it. Don't make sense to me to do it.
Now there may be some type of fee or such, and if they can't pay the fee, you put it on the loan. But you gotta
the monthly payments being made and matures. We've never called that note in the history of the company.
I think that's the most important question to ask.
It's not ideal, but
it's not ideal.
Because if everything goes wrong and you have to hold on to that property and you're waiting to find someone that will refi you out, you need someone that's not going to call your note and take that property back from you.
Yeah. I'm going to bounce back to Rich's talking about this. All right. We'll get to it in just a second. This is important. Long-term loans are more complicated, as Rich said, to evaluate which way you want to go than a flip loan.
Absolutely.
And here's the crossroads you got to get to past before you get to any of the other stuff, in my opinion. And that is, if you're needing a long-term loan for a rental property, the first crossroads is, do you have documented income or do you not have documented income to get yourself approved for the best interest rates? Okay. And if you have the documented income, let's say you're a doctor down at Herman Hospital and Herman Memorial, and you make $600,000-$700,000 a year and you're W-2, well, then you can go a route to show your income and get the lowest rates. But if you don't, you're an investor and that's all you do, and you write off all of your income and you don't have, but you have good credit and you pay your bills, then you go what we call the non-QM route, which is still a decent rate. We're closing those in the 6s today, but you're not going to get that 3.5% rate if you can't prove your income.
And it's a 30-year fixed loan at 6%.
In the 6s,
without having to come to the table with all this unnecessary documentation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So
that's the way the majority of our clients go, because they write off their income.
And when you're dealing with a lender that's doing, let's say you're doing a 10-house refi on a bunch of houses that you're flipping,
portfolio refi.
You've done all the rehab. You got them occupied rentals. Now you got to look at, well, what's my debt coverage ratio they're going to require, right?
Well, and go through that real quick. What's debt coverage ratio?
So is debt service coverage ratio. Let's say if you make $10,000 or $13,000 a month, your payment and your expenses can't be more than a $10,000, so at 1.3 or 1.4. So they'll look at your how much money you're bringing in, and it might be you're required to be 1.3, 1.4 times your expenses, including your monthly payment, your taxes, your insurance, maintenance, and all that.
Speaking of someone who has a lot of debt coverage ratio, AG with Real Acquisitions.
What's up, AG?
Hey guys, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
We keep looking up at the screen. We should be looking at the camera.
I can't help.
I can't help. I'm looking at you, AG. You're too good looking.
my buddy here just pre-sold a $2 million custom house.
What's that?
My buddy just pre-sold a $2 million custom home. That's a lot of debt service to cover.
It is, man. Just to Eddie's point. I think I shared this with you guys. Is that when this whole thing started, we were losing a lot of projects left, right, and center. Banks were spooking out, and I think that automatically translates into investor fidgetiness. So we do spec homes, but we kind of sort of got away from that model a few months ago. So we're just getting these lots, these expensive lots under contract, and before we close, we try to pre-sell them. And if we cannot pre-sell them, we just eat the loss of the earnest, and we don't close.
AG, what are you seeing on the real acquisition side in terms of foreclosure notices, past due notices, eviction notices, stuff like that?
So the interesting part is that the volume of pre-foreclosure listings is obviously down. I mean, for example, in Greater Houston area, we ran on an average, about 8,000 to 9,000 loan mods per month. That number obviously went up significantly. I think right now we're averaging about 16,000 to 17,000 loan mods per month. But usually there is a ratio between loan modifications and actual foreclosure notices. And that ratio is just way off. And I don't think we have, or anyone in the country has enough good data to tell you what that balance needs to look like. But because loan modifications are through the roof right now, but the actual number of foreclosures or banks taking people to foreclosures is just not there yet. We are not seeing any high, crazy, like I think right now, there are 107 properties listed on a trustee foreclosure, which is probably some kind of an anomaly, but we just don't see that any relationship right now.
We call that the Lena Hidalgo effect.
What's that again, Eddie?
Uh-oh. Mr. Non-Political over here just dropped
Call
a
that
political
the Lena
bomb.
Hidalgo effect.
The Lena Hidalgo effect.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh,
I
boy.
didn't say anything bad. I just said it's the Lena Hidalgo effect. That's all I said.
That's all he said.
I hear you, but I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. You did. What's going on at Real Acquisitions right now? Are y'all adding any new tools, new services, anything like that?
Yeah. So we are about a few weeks away from launching in Jacksonville, Florida. We're very excited about that. About 2 months ago, we launched our first our second national product, which is a completely, absolutely free CRM for real estate investors called HouseWise.
How do people get that?
Just go to housewise.com and you have access to everything that we have.
Okay.
And then beginning of the year, actually March, right around COVID, we had launched a mobile app, a driving for dollars, an app called Houses, Houzes. And that surprisingly is doing very well with contractors. That's one thing we never really saw coming. But roofers and plumbers and guys that knock on doors and ask for jobs kind of pick that app up because people don't really like people knocking on people's doors.
Give me an example. Since I am a contractor, what would I use your app for? Like, what is an investor on this forum going to use it for?
So typically a Driving for Dollars app was used by investors who are getting started, don't have a lot of marketing dollars in place. They would go around and what they would do is they would identify distressed assets like properties that have trash outside, properties that have unkempt landscaping, that bad siding, the roof is in a dilapidated position. And then what they would do is they would add that property on their Driving for Dollars app, and they would send a marketing mailer, text message, what have you, to those individuals, which all of those things you can do through our app, which is the whole purpose of our app. We designed it in that way as for a Driving for Dollars for real estate investors, for people who do Driving for Dollars, and of course, agents looking for listings. The way contractors are using it right now is, I'm sure you've had this, especially if you live in a good or decent neighborhood, where a roofer would come and say, hey, listen, man, I'm working on a house 2 doors down. I'd love to come down and give you a free quote on doing a roof on your property. So that is eliminated because what these roofers now do is when they simply pick a neighborhood, they draw a circle of all the homes in that neighborhood. We give them the cell phone number, the Facebook profile, the email address of that homeowner, and they can send a marketing collateral from a direct mail postcard that says, hey, I'm a contractor or I'm a roofer. We have a bunch of roofing templates, GC templates on the app, or send them a mass text message saying, hey, I'm a roofer. I'm doing a project on your street. Would you be willing for me to come down and give you a free consultation on your?
How much is that service going to cost?
So the app is completely free.
Okay.
Absolutely no charge. The app is completely free. They pay for the marketing collateral. They pay for the mailers, the text message, and whatnot.
Oh, that is awesome.
Great
It's
idea.
amazing.
All right, buddy, have another gathering soon. Let's get together.
Oh yeah, we hosted Eddie last week at our house. We had a wonderful time, man. Eddie left a little early though.
What's that?
You left.
You left a little early though.
Yeah, well, I'm a busy man.
He was using our house app and got a lead. Had to go run
You
and
know,
go
busy
talk
man.
to him.
What can I tell you? Busy man. Thank you, AG.
See you tomorrow, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
See ya.
All right.
Interesting.
Hold on. That was a gentleman had a question up for a long time that we never got to. Should we go back? I don't want to be rude.
Is 20% down still needed to avoid FHA
Well,
loan?
I don't understand
Yeah.
exactly the way that question's written.
Well, what I think what he's saying
Yeah.
is PMI.
Yeah. Well, if you put 20% down, whether you're FHA or conventional, you're not going to pay mortgage insurance. If you don't put 20% down on FHA or conventional, you're going to pay mortgage insurance. It's simple. If you have an FHA loan for years and pay it down below 80%, there is a process that you must go through to get the mortgage insurance principal of the mortgage insurance released. It's cumbersome,
Mm-hmm.
and you could go through the process, and then your lender doesn't want to give that up, and they jack you around, and you never get there. But theoretically, when you get below 80% on your loan, a loan that you've had for a while that you may have started at 97% loan to value,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where
Or it's just
FHA
appreciated quite
Yeah.
a bit.
either one.
Yeah.
There is a process you must go through. It is not a guarantee. You're going to get there.
I did it on my
But-
house.
But if you put 20% down, whether it's conventional or FHA, you are not paying mortgage insurance.
And that is also another reason why, if you are not afraid of doing a fixer-upper,
Yeah.
it is a perfect opportunity for you
Yeah.
to buy a primary residence
Mhm.
that you fix up under hard money
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
refi out into
Yeah.
to get your 20%.
So I give them a quick formula just so how smart I am. Mortgage insurance premium normally runs about 0.5%. So the way you do that is if you have a loan amount of $200,000, loan amount, not purchase price, loan amount $200,000, multiply that times 0.005, which would be, I believe, is that $1,000? $1,000?
Divided by 12.
And that's your mortgage insurance premium.
Yep.
That's how
85
you do
bucks
it.
or so.
That's how you do it.
What I wanted to
Just
do
approximate it.
real quick, let's finalize that
Yeah.
little
Go
bit
back.
we were talking about, the long-term loans. There's
Yeah,
a couple
yeah.
other things that are
Alex,
very important I
very-
want people to
For
hear.
long-term loans for rentals.
So we're still
Yes.
on this
Yeah.
package deal, right?
Mhm.
There's a couple of things you want to ask and be very direct and ask. One is, what's your loan to value ratio that you'll loan on rental properties? And do you
Mhm.
want loan to value or loan to cost?
Well,
Because some lenders will only do loan
That's
to
right.
cost,
That's right.
and they're going to want
That's right.
20% more on top of the equity you
yeah.
already have.
We have primarily been a loan to value company, and
Well,
we
sure.
will probably always will be. Now, the long-term loans gets a little tricky, and primarily we're talking. I think you're talking the non-QM stuff. Is that correct?
You know, it's
We're
the
not
local
proving
bank.
income.
Yeah, local
For
bank.
the most part, for the non-QM, we're still going to be loan to value. Keep in mind, this is probably a refinance situation. We have very few clients come to us to buy rental property and get a 30-year mortgage right out of the gate. Most of them are getting a short-term loan
Do the rehab.
acquire and do the rehab, then refinance.
Yep.
And almost every situation when you do that, the loan to the loan parameters are loan to value, not loan to cost, almost all the time. So
Yep.
that's one of the key reasons people do that. They have two closings, yes. You lose a little equity, about 4% equity, but the end result is you're out of pocket much less, a whole bunch, maybe zero. So most of them are going to be loan to value under a refinance situation, and that's what almost
most of them
everybody
are.
does.
One thing that we've seen is and it's actually a local bank that did it to us here, and I don't want to say, but if you do a certain amount of homes, I believe it's more than 6, they'll do what's called a mass appraisal. And so what they do is they'll say, okay, your houses are worth $1 million. Well, we're going to assume that if in a default situation, we're just going to have to liquidate this portfolio. So it's times some discount, say 5-10%, then apply the LTV.
Ooh.
So it ends up being a 70 when they say 80, right?
Well, keep in mind,
Ask those questions is all I'm saying.
keep in mind your
That's a good point.
your long-term loans for rentals is only a few places. We talked about divided into income or show your income and not show your income. Show your income. You're going Fannie Mae or you're going primarily community bank.
Yep.
That's where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't show your income. You're going non-QM, which is the vast majority of the investors. The vast majority. Okay. Keep in mind, who is non-QM? I'll put y'all on the spot. Who is it?
Non-QM to me would always
Who's the money source?
the man.
Who?
The buyer,
No.
the investor,
Where's the money
lender?
coming from to the
The-
title company that
the
day?
hard money lender, the I don't
Non-QM.
know what.
It's coming from Wall
We'll
Street.
teach you.
It's all coming from Wall Street.
Oh,
Wall Street. It's all Wall
okay,
Street
whatever.
money. It's all Wall Street money. You're not a lender. I'm putting you on the spot. It is Wall Street.
No, he thought you
It's
meant
the
who's
same
paying.
money.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what I
I'm
thought.
sorry,
I'm like,
I'm sorry.
what
Wasn't a
was this
good
question here? Yeah.
The source of
I would
the
agree with it.
funds coming to the title company is Wall Street.
Okay.
I don't care whether you call them XYZ, ABC, MQN. It don't matter. It's freaking Wall Street.
Sure.
It's the same money that used to funnel in 05, 06, 07
For the subprime.
for the subprime.
Yeah.
It's the same money.
Yes, it is.
Now they
it's
figured out,
repackaged and
they
repurposed.
figured out that's safer, and it
yes,
is.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Same money source. All right. Y'all want to read this question?
Yes.
Alex, help me.
Tina Taylor
Tina's
says,
got a
here's a question for you guys. I have an opportunity to purchase a property at 322 that's about 15% below market value. It's a very nice townhome, and the property value is appreciated quickly. However, it's quite pricey at $465,000, and it will never quite cash flow as a rental property, which the rental comps are around $2,200 a month. Because interest rates are so low and because appreciation continues to be strong, would you recommend purchasing this property knowing that it will carry a $300 a month loss?
I bet you read.
Wait,
Rich
it
and I-
said something
I
else
bet you
about it
Rich and I
joins
have
another
different-
property.
Joins, can you scroll that or no?
Yeah. I'll bet you Rich and I have different answers, and that's okay. Would you buy it or recommend you buy it? Yes or no?
I don't have enough information.
Yeah, I don't either.
I would say no. Here's why.
You never bet
Why
on the
would you?
appreciation.
Well, hold on. There's too many other ones to buy where you don't have a $300 loss.
Well, and you're putting up a lot of eggs in one basket.
Why would you do that? Now, the only reason you say yes is she lives in that community. It's easy for her to manage. She has maybe an emotional, tie to that
Possibly.
little community and things, and she's right there. But there's too many other properties to buy
That will
and
cash
not subject yourself to a $300 loss in cash flow. There's too many others to buy. That's
Well,
my answer.
My thing is if it's a townhome, it's already
Well,
got
it said part of town. It didn't say townhome.
It said
it said
townhome.
I thought it said town.
It said a 322,
I think it said townhome.
a 322, nice
Part
part
of
of town.
town.
Okay, you're right.
Okay. I would.
Damn. One time in a row.
Why
yeah,
would you?
I would be
Why
very
would you?
cautious
Yeah.
unless I had some kind of insight on this neighborhood's going to just explode.
Uh-huh.
But remember, when you're doing something like that, you're speculating more
Yeah.
than you're investing.
Here's a layup question for Bro.
Ooh.
She asked questions last month. I remember her name. What are you seeing for sales of houses of ARVs over 300? I know the
Booming.
answer.
That's not my answer.
They're still growing.
It was slow months ago, but it ain't slow anymore. All prices, all price points, 0
You
to
know
2
what's
million are
skyrocketing is
moving.
the over $1 million.
Yeah, they're
And
moving.
They're moving
farther
fast.
out of
Yeah.
town.
They're moving.
Farther out of towns.
They're moving. You couldn't always say that.
I would say the real question is what amenities are you seeing that are moving the fastest and getting the highest price? Like clearly
room.
Right.
clearly a house that has a swimming pool is going to move quick.
Because
And
they
if
don't
you-
want to go to the neighborhood pool anymore.
Don't want to go to the neighbor
Right.
or can't go to the neighborhood pool.
Now we got a trick question.
Do you think okay, Evan Pierce, do you think we will see a rise in evictions, foreclosures, and default on payments by tenants given the eviction moratorium has been extended until the end of the calendar year?
Well, the eviction moratorium has not been extended. A
Okay.
new moratorium was enacted through the CDC on a somewhat of an end around. So the theory is that if you're in a house and you get evicted and there's a very high likelihood that you will become homeless, then that says that's a higher risk of spreading COVID, which is their end around to do this, right?
Okay.
To buy votes, right? So there's a form that the tenant has to fill out that certifies under penalty of perjury that they will likely be homeless. This is caused by COVID, all these qualifications. If they don't fill out that form, it's business as usual.
Mm.
So we are taking the stance of we will send the notice, and if they fill out the form, then we back up. If they don't fill out the form, they haven't given us proper evidence that this is the case. Now, here's one trick to this whole eviction thing. In Texas, we have to give a 3-day notice, right?
Right.
And you remember during the CARES Act, it was a 30-day notice. Remember that? You have to give after this, you have to give a 30-day notice. There was no expiration date on that 30-day notice on covered properties. So even though that act is passed in the past, every attorney we've talked to and over 20 real estate attorneys have said,
Continue doing it.
I would give the 30 because the penalties for breaking these rules is so, for instance, the one with the CDC, it's $100,000 and up to a year in jail.
Yeah, it's substantial.
It's ridiculous. So do your homework.
So this
I'm
is
no
the-
lawyer,
Okay.
but we are proceeding with evictions unless they state that it was caused by COVID, they'll likely be
So-
likely be homeless.
Let me just say this real quick. This is our advice based on
Yeah, we're
what
not
we would
lawyers.
do. We are not lawyers. We are not tax attorneys. We are just investors. And this is what things he's learned being a owner of a place that manages other people's property. And this is what he's learned being a investor and a lender. And I'm just here to offer suggestions and some insight.
And be a great moderator. Yeah. Well, this is not the time to DIY if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay,
the regulations
that's
are
great.
changing. For instance, California just enacted statewide rental controls.
So if I have a property and let's say I'm mismanaging it or I'm tired of managing it,
Yeah,
will you just pick it up and take it?
It's called a management takeover. We have a
Management
process for
takeover.
that. We just
Okay.
take it over and start handling it. Then you tell the tenant to leave me alone. I hired a company, and because we don't want the mom and dad thing going. Mom told me this. Well, Dad, can I do this? Right? Tenant has one source of authority. We take over. You don't have to have those uncomfortable, conversations. You don't have to deal with it.
So here was another question for you. So I'm marketing out to homeowners that are people who own homes that don't live at that home, right? So I'm marketing to what do they call it?
Non-owner occupied.
Non-owner occupied homes.
We do too.
I'm saying me as the investor on this page, I'm marketing to them. I pick up the property. That person hasn't paid. I don't even have a lease. It's just been a person that's been, will you take over that property?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll fix it. It's going to take a minute, but we'll fix it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
How many properties y'all managing now?
A little over 1,000.
Woo! A bunch of them.
Yeah. Single family's a lot different. When somebody's we manage 40,000 doors. Yeah, that's eight or 10 huge apartment complex.
I just think that there are
Yeah.
some people out there that run themselves out away from properties that they wouldn't buy because they don't know where to go for the next answer.
Well, and they chase after pennies by doing their own maintenance or
Mhm.
handling
Yeah.
their own
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
details.
They
When
step over
hire
the dollars
somebody.
to get to the dimes.
We're $99 a month. You pay your yard guy, your maid.
Mhm.
You pay a whole bunch of folks more than that, and
Mhm.
they don't even have an education.
I pay Starbucks more than that a month.
Yeah.
Probably do.
All right, what we got here?
Mark Sewell, do we see a wave of foreclosures on the horizon? Maybe in early 2021, or will banks just rewrite the loans and keep them as performing? Which is what AG was just talking about. He's saying that there's a huge wave of
Yeah.
loan mods.
Yeah.
I think he said 14,000, 14,
Yeah,
16.
I think there will be
Right.
tons of mods,
Yeah.
but there's still going to be foreclosures.
I'm gonna give what some people out there are gonna say a dumbass answer to that first part.
Come out of
this.
your mouth.
That's all right. You know, I go ahead and talk it.
The only education you get is listen to me talk.
I'll tell you how I feel about it. Is there a big wave of foreclosures coming? Big deal. If there is, I read game plan for that.
What would be the game plan for that?
You have to pivot.
Well, I up my marketing and I buy more.
Oof.
Okay?
Sounds like
if there's
you're
not, okay, fine. We game plan for that. You know, you don't run. I say this all the time. I think it's a classic, it's a simple statement. Don't run your business scared. Don't run
But-
your business scared.
But 08,
You know?
remember we talked about how
Yeah.
many people went out of business 08, 09?
Yeah.
That's because they couldn't adapt.
They did not adapt. That's exactly
And that's what
right.
we have to
They
continue to
didn't.
do.
They didn't switch strategies in their business fast enough.
The only quote that I have
Mm.
from Del Walmsley is this:
Oh, no.
heads I win, tails I win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. When should I buy when the market's up? Yes.
Yeah.
Should I buy
So-
when the market's down? Yes.
So was that a dumbass statement I made?
No,
I mean,
perfectly
is that-
reasonable.
yeah.
I think
You are a dumbass,
I think
not in
you
that.
So what?
you
Yeah.
need to realize
Yeah.
that so many of
My
these
boy.
people, like that is actually a
Yeah.
question that they probably
Yeah.
have that they
Yeah.
didn't answer
Yeah.
or didn't ask.
Yeah. But the tone of the question is alarming. And I'm gonna say, and I know who that is, and I
Yeah,
love
I
him
know.
to death. He's not very, hadn't been in the business that long. It's a great question. It's a tee up question. It's one that a lot of people would ask. And it's got the underlying message of being scared
fearful.
and alarmed and
Fearfulness.
fearful.
Well, even Jason alluded
deal.
to it too.
Big
He
deal.
alluded to it in his
But
final
people
statements.
in this industry don't mind it. People
Yeah.
out of the industry think
Yeah.
the sky's
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah.
For
So-
us, we don't. It is what it is. It's a
Wait,
new.
you-
It's a new wave of inventory.
What you do is you stay on the front of the data, and then Jason's is really
He's
good. I
good
think
at it.
AG's good at this, and a lot of other people are too. I think we are. I think you are. We are. We stay on the front of the curve, and when you see the curve go, react
I think I
with your strategy. It
yes.
makes sense.
Yes,
I mean, that's what
100%.
we've always done.
I think you give me way more credit on reading the data. What I do is I read the other people who are reading the data, and then I get a gut
Yeah.
feeling based
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
what would I
Yeah,
do.
but a gut feeling will take you a long way.
A gut
Yeah.
feeling, I would tell you that I've made a lot of money on gut feeling, and I've lost on one deal on a gut feeling.
We don't have much time, and I got something I think is kind of interesting.
Go.
Important.
Go for it.
Who's the biggest landlord in America? Single family. homes.
Blackstone.
Blackstone. 90,000 single family houses. You know what they're about to close?
I saw the article, so I know.
They're about
Yeah.
to close a $500 million deal to buy trailer parks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
500. They've already got the money. They've already got the contracts, and they're wrapping it
I
up.
got one. I'll sell them. I throw it in the pool.
I got four trailers on a quarter acre in Caney Creek. But I'm telling you, the whole appreciation and this lack of inventory
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
going to squeeze out the
Yeah.
people that need $1,000, $1,200 house.
Yeah.
And
Well-
some folks are going to make a lot of money building little trailer parks out in the country.
I'm telling you, we ought to donate
So
a
if there was
show
a
one
gold
day.
nugget, that was one of them.
Well,
That's a nugget.
let me tell you about trailer parks from a very simplistic view. I've been doing it 21. You're about what, 23 maybe?
Mhm.
23 years. 2000, 2001, we're scared about them mobile homes, weren't we?
Mhm.
Ain't scared to buy them now. We learned there's a market for it.
And mobile homes have changed so much. The modular
Absolutely.
home has
Absolutely.
changed so much.
They're built they're
Yeah,
built
that's right.
much,
Built way
much
different.
better.
That's right.
Now
That's right.
let's talk about it. If you buy a mobile home and rent it out, that's different than buying
A
dirt
mobile home park.
and renting out spaces.
Ooh,
Because then
Right.
the people
Very,
that own the
very
trailer
interesting.
take the depreciation because
Yeah.
those things aren't going to appreciate. They're going to
Yeah.
depreciate.
Yeah. All right. What's coming down the pipe? We'll be here next month. I don't think we're going to have a live event. I would love to have a live event.
That's not true.
don't think-
We've been invited to come back to Studewood Canteen
That might be
and
fun.
be up
good.
on the rooftop.
I think we should do that.
They're
I would
asking.
enjoy it.
So if you guys are interested
Let's
in
do
that,
it.
please,
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let us know in the
please
comments.
let us know in the
Comment if you
comments
could write.
section.
It,
We
it
can
won't be
host-
it won't be an RCC with 1,000 people.
No, it'll be 100 people.
100 people.
100 people. So we would be limiting
Yeah.
how many people could come, but we are opening the invite to anyone who wants to, especially if you've never done a deal
I
with Jet
miss live
or with
events.
Richard and Renter's Warehouse, or if you have a deal that you would like to sell, or if you just want to come and network, we would love to have you.
Yeah.
And we totally appreciate everybody's questions. There are no dumb questions, just dumb people. And with that, is there any is there any advice any of you two have for anybody going into the rest of this week or month until
No.
we meet again?
Go vote.
Yeah, vote. Don't run your
Hope you
business
vote
scared.
for my
Does it?
client. I ain't gonna
Don't run your business scared. Just like Eddie
Yeah,
said,
don't run your business scared. Go vote. I think there's going to be a miracle cure, regardless of the way the election goes. A miracle cure on November 4th. That's why I feel.
Yeah. What are you doing on November 4th after the COVID ends?
Yeah.
Going
You
to
know.
the bar.
So either which way it goes,
Miracle cure.
I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a lot of eyeballs on the television that night.
I think it's going to be a
It'll be
landslide.
interesting.
I think it's going to be like 364 to something. I don't.
Mondale style, huh?
I just think it's going to be a joke.
You can tell me later who you think's going to win. I don't
Starts
know.
with a T and ends with a rump.
We don't know.
The real question is, will Biden even know that he lost when he loses? That's the
Easy.
real question.
Easy.
Okay.
Ugh.
So
Hey, we enjoyed it. We hope y'all enjoyed it. The reason we do this is two reasons. We want to promote our companies, and it's just obvious. Okay, we love doing this with Curtis. This is Curtis's show.
Yeah.
This was Curtis's idea. Let's give it credit where it's due.
thank you. Thank you.
And Jet Lending wants to loan more money. Rich Drake wants to, and Renter's Warehouse wants to manage more houses. But
Yeah.
we don't mind helping.
We enjoy it.
We don't mind helping people. It's not that I'm smarter than you guys, and not that Rich is smarter than you guys. We just got the battle scars. We probably
broke plenty.
experienced 98% of what our followers are going to run into
Yeah.
right there.
What
for the
can you
first time.
screw up in real estate? I've done it a half a dozen times each.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So thank y'all. Thank you for being here. Share it with your friends. Come see us.
And I will be, FYI, if you like the content that while I'm driving, then you should stay tuned, because
Yep.
at this studio right here, I will be continuing my show that I had for a while called Nailed It.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be co-produced and co-hosted by Alex
Oh,
at
Lord.
Jet Lending.
Thanks, Jason and AG with
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you guys
Texas
for
Real
coming on.
Estate and Real Acquisitions, respectively, there for joining in with us tonight.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Andy and Alex.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.